Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hi, this is Jen. Welcome to another episode of a No Frills Friday. How you doing today? Just going to barely touch upon a couple of pantry items that have been game changes for me, and I believe game changes for anyone listening. Honestly, here are two little items that, in my honest opinion, are completely, in fact, necessary in my case. I really, really love them. All right. And I talked briefly about it in a recipe from yesterday. If you go back to it with the lentil sauce, there are some canned items. Now, let's talk about shopping style just for a brief second again. Okay. All right. Now, some people can go to a big box type store and they could carry back to their car like these big old cases of stuff, like let's say small cans of tomato sauce. That's the game changer for me, by the way, specifically. Those small cans of tomato sauce, the ones I always confuse with 8 ounce or 4 ounce, but you know the one I mean. All right. Okay. I'm not talking about tomato paste, which is also a great thing to keep. I'm talking about those little cans of sauce. Okay. Now, some people can buy a whole case of them, lug it home themselves. That's great. Some people maybe need it delivered. That's fine. Some people can just slowly accumulate them, which a lot of people fall into that category. Let's say one week they purchase four, and then the following week they purchase another four. And, they carry it up their many steps or long hikes from home or whatever. And that's totally fine. But no matter which method of shopping that you get them, in my honest, get them because they could change the whole complexity of a recipe. And that includes soups, stews, and meatloaf. If you enjoy tomatoes and you can't always have access to fresh tomatoes right away, this is a really great option. So this is why I'm like, think about it, but don't think too long. The other thing is that a lot of people don't recognize something. People are so reliant on those jarred sauces now. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with them. I think they're wonderful. I think they're great to have and they're convenient. But what happens if you run out of it and you're really interested in making a pasta, with some tomato sauce on it? Winky winky, there's probably small cans of tomato sauce hiding in the pantry. Okay. And you know what? It takes just about the same amount of time to heat up a couple of small cans of tomato sauce. Now, here's the trick. You could just make the base of the sauce very simply. You don't have to add meat. Okay. So if you're on an extremely tight budget, think of it in the marinara way, the sense of it without any meat added to it. Okay. So if you have some nice, a little oil, and it doesn't have to be olive oil, use the oil that you have on hand. I'm really like basing this recipe idea or method for people who are really on an extremely tight budget, but you don't have to be on a tight budget to enjoy it because it works just as well. Okay. And you take one turn of the pan of the oil. See, today, too many people use too much oil. I could do its own show on that. I really could. But for now, for the purpose, I'm just recommending this, game changer in your pantry. So as long as you purchase those small little cans of sauce, it can make an incredible difference. You instead of putting ketchup on your meatloaf, I like to enter or add the small can of tomato sauce to my meatloaf mixture as I'm preparing it. Then I reserve half of the can for like the last few moments of it in the oven, and then I pour that on the top. To me, I personally prefer it better than the ketchupy version because the ketchupy version has that like little bit of a vinegar taste, which I find unpleasant on meat. That's me. Everyone is different. But these little cans of sauce are a game changer. And oftentimes, if you could get them on sale, sometimes I see them as little as 40 cents a can, 50 cents a can. Now, just imagine, and a person, for example, that lives in a one person or two-person household, they don't necessarily want to break open a $4 or a $6 jar of tomato sauce. Maybe just using those smaller cans, you tailor it to your needs. You tailor it to the amount of people in your household. Just be creative. Like I said, put a little bit of oil in a pan, and then like whatever else you want to add to it, some herbs or like oregano gives it. Now, if you're making a pizza sauce, you add the oregano. Oregano to me, oregano added to tomato sauce equals pizza sauce. If you have dried basil, yum, put that in. That's another addition. With garlic powder, onion powder, you can just throw that in. Remember, I'm not even mentioning meat. And you have yourself delicious sauce. You don't always have to break open the big jar of sauce. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but there may be times you don't have that big jar or you don't want to purchase a jar for $4 to $6. See where I'm going with this? But those little cans are a sneaky way to make sure you could have all the sauce that you want on the cheap.